Apologies for the technical difficulties this morning, but I think we're with you here live now. My name's Shawn Joyce. Saville Shootout, we're in the playoffs on Monday, featuring the game here between Rylan Kleiter and Kevin Cooey. I believe I'm being joined here, not right away, but momentarily by Rory McCusker. It appears we've got a blank in the first end. We're underway in the second end here. The Cooey team with last rock, throwing the yellow stones. And we're on to third stones here. This is Tyler Tardy. He's got a piece of that red shot stone available. He's going to make the quiet tap through the port and maybe able to roll in behind his own corner guard. Might catch the red at the back of the 8 foot as well. By the front one. Makes the tap. Just jams it onto that second stone, but does get the roll in behind the corner. To admit, this is my first chance to look at the Kleiter team this weekend, so I don't know if they've been playing shorthanded all along, but they are certainly shorthanded this morning. Looking to peel the guard. A little unfortunate that they catch their own stone at the back. So Cooey sits one. It's open. Chance to loop one around the guard and see if he can't pick up his deuce here in the second end. So we joined this this game in progress. I'm not 100% sure of the lineup for the Kleiter team. It looks like Rylan is missing. He's the normal skip. Matthew Hall, who was calling the game, usually plays second and is the vice, but he's an experienced skip himself. And I would bet, and it certainly looks like with Joshua Mattern back there behind, that Matt's probably throwing last here. You saw the body language. They were just hoping for that rock to stop. Probably stop just in time. If it curls a little bit more, might have been room for the double. As it is, Matthew Hall will have to make a pass at the open stone, try to roll behind cover, see if he can get out of trouble that way. Trevor Johnson on the brush. Joshua Mattern calling the line. Makes the hit. And gets the roll over mostly behind cover. He's maybe a quarter of it out. That's a big shot for Matthew Hall. If you ever leave that stone out in the open, Kevin Cooey makes the roll in behind. You could be looking at 3 here. They talked briefly about the run. I think it was a Yellowstone out front instead of one belonging to the opposition. They might have played it. He's going to opt for the pick. Just hit what he can see. It's not even critical that he gets it entirely out of the rings. He just has to get it out of the 8-foot. Might even jam on that stone at the back 12. Depends how much he hits here. Kevin Cooey with his first stone in the second end, looking to pick out the shot rock. It's close. He's got a piece of it. Does jam on that stone at the back, but it leaves Cooey sitting shot behind cover. And Matthew Hall is going to look at the run back. Peeking over to my right as he sets up for the shot, and I see comments, and now I had to look myself, that the scoreboard is reversed. Keep in mind the players put the names up on the scoreboard themselves. and we just matched theirs. So Matthew Hall with the run back does pick the shot stone out, but rolls the raised stone out of play as well. So an opportunity for the blank. And as a sign of just exactly how good these players are these days, he makes that shot, rolls it out, and you saw just a little bit of a reaction. He's unhappy because he rolled out. That's the expectation. Makes the hit, does roll it out. We've got a blank here. No score after 2 ends of play. Kevin Cooey will continue to have last rock when we return.
Stronger agronomics, better returns, greater peace of mind from pre-seed to post-harvest. You can count on the Victory Canola program to keep you and your farm ahead of the curve. Grow with us at victorycanola.com.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Shawn, Joyce with you here live from the Saville Shootout, presented by Curling Stadium Edmonton. We are at the Saville Community Sports Center in Edmonton, where we've been since Friday. 20 teams started in both the men's and women's division, played round-robin pools. We're down to just the 8 playoff teams in both the men's and women's division this morning. Quarterfinals right now. We'll see semifinal actions start at noon Central Standard Time. And the finals at 3, so quick turnarounds for these teams if they can continue on towards the championship game today. Here in this matchup between the Kleiter team and Kevin Cooey. As we begin playing the third end, the center guard thrown up first. Carrick Martin came around it to the top of the 8. You saw the second attempt by Trevor Johnson looking to come down to that stone. He's got a good angle, left a little bit of separation. Carrick Martin would like to get to the inside of that red stone. Just sit on the corner of it, so they've got a way to pass it by their own stone later on. This is going to over-curl. Well, he's got the good angle. He just would have liked to get right down to the face on that. But creates a bit of a dilemma now for Matthew Hall. Took a look at a couple of the options, and I think with this broom where it is, he's just looking to pick out the Yellowstone that was just delivered. Three-handed, this is Trevor Johnson throwing his third stone at the end. By the front one. Picks the yellow just enough to get it by his own red and actually catches a small corner of the shot stone as well. Moving it in behind that stone in the top of the 12. Jacques Gauthier looked to come off that stone that rolled to the corner of the 12-foot here. Like to roll behind cover himself. Makes the hit, makes the roll, touches his own stone. Pushes it out into the open, and the shooter is just a quarter underneath that stone at the top of the 8-foot. Kevin Cooey sitting 2. And no double available. That's the key. Joshua Matter now making a play on the open stone. Try to roll this underneath, and this has started to curl early. They're going to have to go just to get it by the guard. If they do, I'm not sure they're going to make contact with the stone in the rings. Rubs the guard, moves it over to the corner. Kevin Cooey continuing to sit to and looking at trying to pass that red stone through the rings between the two yellows and roll behind cover. This is a chance to put some big pressure on. Makes the hit, does pass it between the two yellows, rolls over, gets a good third of that stone behind cover. Kind of Christmas trees the two yellows on that side of the house. Matthew Hall looking at the run. There's a couple of ways they can get doubles that way. More natural, looks like you go straight back and just double the two yellows that are behind it, but you saw him gesture. There's also the chance that it could come towards the shot stone, one at the just behind the tee line. I think that's the shot stone. They're close. It's close to which is shot and which is second. Not sure if they discussed any other options. It doesn't look like they've gone away from this, though. They're going to play the run back. There might be a double available playing one of the, what they can see of either of those yellows and coming towards the open one, but you're going to leave something guarded that way. Joshua Matter looking for the double on the run back. This is going to overcurl a little bit. Catches the one stone. We'll just drive it by everything, and the shooter stays to, again, protect half of that stone at the top of the 4-foot. Tyler Tardy looking for the come around. He'd like to bury on the red and maybe get a little bit more separation on his own. But this has got a curl. So they're sweeping from the offside. They'll have to bring it as deep as they need to bury it. Looking to freeze now. He's close. He does have it a good half in behind cover. I don't know if you can see enough of it directly to make the double. I'm sure that's what Matthew Hall's trying to decide as well. You could play the run back again. There's a lot of separation between the guard and the rock you're trying to make contact with, though. He's looking at the thin double or the run back. Thin double onto the one at the back of the 4-foot, but opting for the run back again. Joshua Mattern overcurled just slightly on his first one, overcurls again just slightly on the second one, and this time doesn't make contact with either of the two stones in the rings. Rolls over and still leaves them partly covered. And now 4 is in play. Kevin trying to get an idea of just how much Matthew could see on that yellow. And I think he's decided Matt can't see enough to do a lot with it. He could play the slash double, but he'd have to lose his shooter. So he's going to play to the open side now. Sit 4, spread these rocks out a little bit more. So this is the out turn for Tyler Tardy. And this is not moving. He's still on the front one. Should start to go now. That break point hasn't changed all week long. It's a very late break point, just about 5 to 10 feet outside the hog line. But boy, do they move once they get started. It has made for some very entertaining come-arounds. The only danger you have with the late break point like that, as we just saw, sometimes you stay on the outside guard for a long time. Slash double might be there for Matthew Hall. The problem is you lose your shooter. Kevin Cooey comes around the center guard, and you're pretty much guaranteed you're giving up a shot at 3. He's looking at playing the hit on the stone that was just delivered, roll to the back of the 4-foot. It does still leave the possibility of 4, but if you make it good enough, you might be able to eliminate at least a couple of those yellows. Also looking at, looks like the corner freeze on the yellow, the top of the 4-foot as well. Play the hit on the stone that was just delivered. Try to roll to the back of the 4-foot. Behind cover. Matthew Hall throwing the skip stones today for the Kleiter team. In a little bit of trouble as we play here in the 3rd. Looking at the possibility of 4 right now, looking for the hit and roll behind cover. See if he can't cut that down. Makes the hit, makes the roll. He is buried. I'll do that roll a little farther than they would have liked because the angle on the yellow looks like it comes pretty much directly into that red now. The first Yellowstone is probably a 3rd behind cover. Kevin's just trying to decide if he can get to enough of it to make yellow, red and stick it behind cover. or maybe more so than that, trying to figure out what weight he can throw to do that. I'm sure the shot's available. And discussing where they want everything to end up. So that's the call. Yellow onto the redstone that was just delivered. Pass it through the back. Could sit 4 here. I think he feels like his shooter's going to roll over a little bit. He probably wants it to. He doesn't want to leave the yellows overlapped again. He might need something to run in with his last one as well. We're on the sweep early. This has got a curl now, though. He might be a little too thin. He'll make contact with the stone in the 4, but a little thin on the contact of the first one. Loses his shooter. Does move it far enough to sit 3. Boy, had that first Yellowstone rolled just a little bit farther, there might have been room for a triple here. I don't think he can see enough of it right now. Matthew saying we could come around and freeze from the out turn, but then he's got a slash on the yellow and the 8-foot for at least 3, and it could still be 4 because it might jam on the red at the back. Looking at the in-off on the most open stone, the second shot, the corner of the 4-foot as well. Trevor Johnson has made his way down. It looks like he thinks you could still see enough of that yellow to make the double. Matthew not convinced. Kind of looks like he's leaning towards hitting second shot, rolling to the back of the 4-foot, a similar shot to what he played on his first, just the other side of the sheet. So playing the hit and roll. Back 4 might be able to catch a piece of the button. Maybe be shot rock when he's done this. Trevor Johnson just waiting to know which side he needs to sweep from, looking for curl, now trying to hold it straight. He's got the hit. How far is it going to roll? Too far to be shot. Rolls out the back of the 4-foot. Sits full 80. Has got second shot, although he's also mostly open. Kevin Cooey can come down, only has to move it a few inches. Kleiter team was in trouble most of this end. So close to bailing themselves out with a nice shot there. Just rolled a little too far. Kevin Cooey still has to make this. He's sitting shot rock and has third at the top of the 8-foot. This is a shot for 3. Kevin Cooey with a moment to get set, and now on his way to deliver that final stone. It'll be all up to the brushers here. They need to communicate the weight. Tyler Tardy on the right. It's Carrick Martin on the left. Jacques Gauthier in the house calling the line. Comes down, touches that stone. Now, how far will the shooter roll? I think he's got 3. They're going to take a look around. One for sure. 2 for sure. Yeah, I don't think they were looking because they thought it was that close. I think they were looking because they were hoping it was closer than it was. Put 3 on the board for Kevin Cooey. He'll take a 3-0 lead after 3 ends of play. Matthew Hall will have last rock for the first time when we...
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Kevin Cooey with 3 in the third has the lead now as we begin play in the fourth. Throws that first stone into the top of the fourth. That's the one you can see already come to rest. The corner guard being thrown by Trevor Johnson, just stopping now. And Carrick Martin with his second stone at the end, looking to come right down on top of that shot stone. Both brushers down. They wanted that in the rings. It will cover up a piece of the shot stone, and I guess importantly, it covers the piece that would have allowed the hit and roll behind the corner. It is on the center line as well. That's important because it means you can't tick this on the way by. You might have to take just an inch or two more ice to be safe, and then look to freeze on the shot stone. By the front one. put it right on the face of that shot stone. Nice shot by Trevor Johnson. Been a number of high-profile cases of teams playing with 3 players nowadays, so it doesn't look like it's the same disadvantage that it used to be, say, for instance, in corn broom days, where the sweeping was a little bit more demanding. But not to say that the brushes aren't hard to sweep with, but it's a different type of physicality. With only one brusher, and I think I've noticed, certainly with Joshua Mattern, and I think Trevor Johnson does it the same, they tend to brush one gripper, one slider, which does make it a little bit harder to switch around. It allows them to get more pressure on their natural side. That's why you've seen a number of players go back to that. It used to be the standard. And the 2 grippers kind of became the standard. Now you see teams that will do it both ways. Depends on the sweeper's preference. The little bump off there, the yellow is fully out in the open, but down by 3. And with that yellow not really being a threat, now yellow's going to try to use it. Asking for another freeze here. And jumping up to sweep as well. I'd like to keep a corner of this on top of the yellow, but in the pocket is fine. Might have curled more than they would have liked. Now, there's not a lot of room between the red, yellow, the top of the forefoot, so I don't think they can pick this clean, but it looks like what Kevin Cooey is looking at is run the red onto the tighter red. You probably lose the 2 on the center line, including your own. He's okay. This looks like they're playing it quieter, just try to break up that freeze. Red onto red, move the yellow back a little bit just so they're not frozen. Going to over curl that a little bit. Hard to tell from that camera angle how things are lined up in the house, but I think it's lined up pretty good for Matthew Hall right now. Looks like the yellow red at the top would miss the red at the top of the 8-foot. So he's looking to hit the open Yellowstone and rolling behind. This I'm not sure about. And only because if that yellow red at the top misses the red right now, you're going to roll to a spot where it can't miss. Rushing for the curl, try to get a little bit of a roll. I think that's pretty good right there. There's a good look from the overhead. You can see the 3 reds close to even across. The one in the middle just a little bit higher. I think he got just enough of a roll that there's not really an easy double available on any of the reds. Tyler Tardy made his way down to look at the angles too. The danger here, if you play the yellow onto the red, it looks like that middle redstone would go by the one at the top of the forefoot. If it does that, it could pick out the yellow on the top of the button, and that's what they're looking at. Not sure what they settled on. I'm sure they're playing that one in the middle. There's a question about how hard they have to throw it. You could play it just a tap to just move things around again. Looks like they're playing with full hit. Try to hit just slightly on the broom side on the yellow onto the red. It should pass by everything on a slight angle, and you might spill that yellow in behind the cover. Leave a double on the two reds that would be remaining. Well, I'm not throwing it that hard. Needs to get close to the nose here. That might be a little thin. Catches enough of that red stone to pass it through the back. Rolls his shooter to the 12-foot and the raised stone in behind the corner guard. There is a double available on the two reds that are left. Matthew Hall doesn't want to leave a double. Trying to figure out what can we do about that. Off the yellow, come across into his own and push it into shot stone. Change the angles as well. Got a couple of options if he comes off that Yellowstone. You saw him indicate we could come off the top of the red and spin up as well. I think if you're coming off the top of the red, you're not pushing the red directly into the yellow. If you're a little thinner on the first yellow, you could push that red in the 8-foot towards the stone on the button. It is kind of nice when you're playing a shot like that where you got a couple of different ways you can hit it right, so you got a little bit more leeway. I don't think he's got much on the other side of the sheet. Looks like that's what they're settling on. They've looked at all the options. There aren't a lot of them. So going to hit the wide yellow in the 12-foot. Come across, touch the stone that is currently third shot. Trying to put it into the shot rock on the button. Coming from the inside out at this, so he'll get a little bit more action on the shooter. Josh Mattern with his out turn and some big weight here. Gonna hit just a little less than half, comes across, does jam it straight into that one on the button and removes it from play. Kleiter team now sitting 2 for sure. Close for third. It kind of looks like yellow, but I will say the color of the stones sometimes can be misleading. Kevin looking at the angles, considering the raise. There's a double available on the two yellows, or the two red stones that are out in the open. The problem is shot stone would still be buried. And a chance to hit and roll underneath. You'd be looking at having to play this run back on the next one to stop him from getting 3. Hard to hit this in a way so that you don't make at least one of those reds go away. Tyler Tardy with the run back attempt. Just a sliver high. Makes the double. Will you lose the run back stone, but shot stone now completely open as well. Second shot belonging to Kevin Cooey also somewhat chokes off the corner guard. Hard to come around it with a draw, so Matthew looking at the run back. Bumper weight. That tap on the hip is pretty much universal for bumper. I'm never sure what the hand on the stomach is, so I'm just referring to that as I think I ate too much weight. But looking for the run back, he'd love to stick it in behind cover. On the brush right away. Needs to be right on the nose. Makes the run. Will hold the run stone. Looks to be just a sliver under cover. Kleiter team sitting 2. Shot stone open in the 4-foot. It's a long roll to try to get behind cover off that. If you did make it, you'd at least at the tee line, if not behind it. Gonna give it a go though. Regardless, it's a more comfortable situation now for Matthew Hall at this end. He's into skip rocks. He's going to have a shot for 2 anyway. Kevin was looking for the roll behind cover, just gets the nose hit. Matthew Hall will try to hit and roll open now, so he doesn't leave that same chance to roll behind the cover. On the brush right away, would like a broomside roll here. Maybe a little aggressive for the roll. Does hang around, edge of the 12-foot. Too risky to go after the one on the other side and probably can't roll behind cover anyway, so Kevin Cooey going to make a pass at this stone. Probably try to roll to just bite the 8. Force Matthew Hall to make a play on it when he won't have very far to roll before he'd roll out. Not taking a lot of time in the hacks this time. Waiting for it to curl. He'd like to get a bit of a roll. Make the hit. Does get a bit of a roll, but to my eye, it looks like the red is shot. It's close. They're going to have to take a look. I think Matthew's pretty convinced their shot. It looks like he's lining up for the draw. I think this is the draw to the button. Needs to just about bite 8 foot. Josh has taken a lot of looks at that. Final stone, fourth end, Matthew Hall. Needs to just about bite the 8 foot. And I think we're drawing for 2 here. We might see a measurement. Nothing out of the brush yet. Will come to rest. Back of the button. It's 1 for sure. Few players looked. I think one wanted to measure, but I think they have conceded. It is 2. Kleiter team on the board with 2 points here in the fourth end. Kevin Cooey will take a 3-2 lead into the fifth, and he'll have last rock.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardlines Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
This is it. It all comes down to this rock. The hours in the gym, the weeks away from my family. This is what I've been training for. And all those voices trying to tear me down, I'm here to silence them. We've given everything we have for a chance to get everything we want.
Four ends complete here in this men's quarterfinal. Kevin Cooey with a 3-2 lead. Teams have the option to take a break at the end of 4.
Don't forget your brooms.
Yep, you got it.
Come on up. Okay, well, what do you got? You got 1, you got 2, you got...
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Fifth end underway here from this quarterfinal. Kevin Cooey with a 3-2 lead. He will have last rock here in the fifth. The Kleiter team, after picking up the deuce in 4, trailing by 1. Threw up the center guard to get us started here in this fifth end. Carrick Martin with the come around attempt, but it does look like it's stayed fully out in the open. Trevor Johnson being asked to come around from the other side now, sit dead buried, not even looking necessarily to get shot rock here. It is buried, so Carrick Martin will look to come down once again, throwing the in-turn. Corner freeze onto the stone that was just delivered. Nice line coming in if he doesn't rub off of it. Nudges the stone just a little, does stay on the corner of it. Playing with only 3 players, Trevor Johnson delivering his third stone at the end now and looking to corner freeze the shot stone. This one needs to curl, but it needed to slow down as well. It does stop right beside the yellow stone. Room for Jack Gauthier to come down, move that red stone through, and roll his shooter into the top of the button area. If he gets the hit and roll, I don't think it moves the yellow. It's right beside it. They're close to touching. If you hit it on the nose, it probably moves. Makes the hit. His own stone touches the yellow and spins up to the top of the button, dead behind cover. Kevin Cooey sitting 2 here with last rock in the fifth, behind cover. And he's got the angle on that stone at the top of the 8-foot as well. Asking Joshua Mattern to come down on the in-turn, his in-turn, being a left-hander. Tap the red stone at the top of the 8. Towards the shot stone. Maybe leave it frozen if he could. He's going to have to tap it on a bit of an angle. Got to get by the yellow at the top of the 8. Boy, that's an outstanding shot. I don't think he could have done it any better. Still leaves Cooey sitting 2, but they're in a pocket on the back half of the button. The house is getting a little small, so Kevin Cooey will ask Jacques Gauthier to peel the guard. asking for the guard and indicating you need to guard this red one you just threw. Straight guard on it. If you don't guard that red one, there's a nose hit to just double the 2 reds and leave all the yellows in play. He's got a shot available to play the yellow onto the red, onto the 2 in the forefoot, but it's just too early to play that. The guard goes up. Now it'll be up to Tyler Tardy to make the guard go away. Matthew Hall asking for the guard again. He'll have an idea already in his mind as to where he wants to make the move into the rings. You make it too early, you give Kevin Cooey too many chances to bail out of it. If you make it too late, Kevin Cooey might just ignore these guards, come around and sit 3. It's always interesting to watch that little bit of cat and mouse between the 2 skips when timing becomes the issue. Still playing the peel here. And now Matthew Hall's going to have to make a decision. I think if you threw one more guard, you'd see that Kevin Cooey would ignore it. Really got 2 choices. He could try to smash yellow into red into the 2 yellows at the back. You'd make the 2 yellows go away. You'd be sitting shot 3rd and 4th. The top yellow probably not going very far. That still could leave you in danger of giving up 2. He's also considering just tap yellow onto red and just tap it to frozen in the pocket of those 2. And it does look like there's room, like the shot stone is just behind the pin. If you could ever tap the frozen, you would probably be shot rock. It's just that's such a precise shot. I think now he's also looking at, could he hit the Yellowstone pretty much right on the nose, yellow onto red, onto the shot stone, so you'd lose the top yellow and the back yellow. The yellow on the side of the button would stay there, but you'd still have shot rock buried behind the 2 reds. Looks like they're playing it with the draw weight tap. They discussed all the options. I don't think there's ever any doubt they're playing yellow onto red into the shot stones somehow. The draw weight tap frozen is definitely the best result, because with only 2 stones left to come, Kevin Cooey doesn't really have time to deal with a frozen stone. Needs to curl, has to be close to the nose on the yellow. Really moving now. He's close. Yellow onto yellow. Tap back to shot stone. Well, they had to go a little bit to get the curl. He's got a little bit more separation on those stones that he would have liked. It is the Kleiter team sitting shot rock right now. Second, third, and fourth belong to Cooey. Tyler Tardy thinks if they smash the red, looking at the overhead just on the left side of the center line, top 8 foot, catch the one that's shot rock, it'll spin off the back of the, or off the top of the stone at the back 4 foot. And it might. You'll lose 2 yellows that way, but your shooter actually would probably be in far enough to be third shot. Maybe second if the red goes all the way out. Kevin looking at the double on the top 2 reds, I think, and maybe come across and touch the top end of that yellow as well. That's what he's going to go with. Needs to hit probably about 3/4 of the first one. I mean, you could hit it thinner and just double the 2 reds, but I think what they want to do is hit red onto red, a little thin on the second red, come across, touch the top of that yellow stone in the full 8 foot, move it towards shot rock. If he just makes the double on the 2 reds here, it's not the end of the world, but if he could bring the yellow back into the red, he might be able to break up that corner freeze. Boy, they got to hold the line here. This might have overcurled on him. Just touches it. By doing that, he brought the stone a little too straight back, and now it's just the yellows that left Matt Hall sitting 3. The 2 at the top of the 8 foot overlap so as to protect shot stone at the back 4. Now that yellow stone that's 4th shot, the top of the 12 foot, might be the only rock Kevin Cooey has that he can score with. You might have to play a tap on it to the 4. And so Matt looking at getting rid of it. I don't think you want to roll. Could see him indicate we could hit and roll off that, but if you roll at all, that leaves room for the draw. Looking at tapping the reds, I don't know why you would want to change that angle, because right now they can't get at shot rock. You'd hate to leave him some kind of triple to get out of trouble here. Opting to play a guard by the looks of it, I think. Likely trying to guard the yellow. When you see them putting the broom down like that several times, they're just trying to remember back to earlier shots. When we put the broom here, that's where it ended up. Because they probably haven't thrown this exact path, so they're guessing based on how much curl they've gotten on some previous shots. If anything, he needs to guard the outside half of this stone. Maybe seeing something else from the other end. So Coach Dean Kleiter requested the timeout. They're going to have a little chat about it. I think the concern here, the thing you have to discuss, you just guard this. Kevin Cooey is going to play the double on the 2 and the 8 foot and give you 1. Are you okay with that? going to give you one because it's hard for him to score, and he's not going to give you a chance for any more than one. But if you guard the double, you leave him the tap to score. Looks like they're going to stick with that call. Guard the shot that Kevin's got to score. Nothing out of the brush yet. You'd hate to freeze this and make the tap a little easier. Yeah, he's got a little bit of separation. Kevin, not going to think about it. He's already on his way down to play the double. Final stone here for Kevin Cooey in the fifth. No shot to score, so he's just going to play the double and try to concede a single. This is a little thin. He hits it thin. He might only get one of them. And that will be a steal of two. So Team Kleiter now with a 4-3 lead after 5 ends of play. Kevin Cooey will have last rock in the sixth.
What do you got? You got one, you got two, you got...
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Men's quarterfinal action from the Saville Shootout. My name is Shawn Joyce. Welcome to the Curling Stadium Edmonton coverage, live from the Saville Community Sports Center in Edmonton. A big steal of two for the Kleiter team in the fifth end. A couple of uncharacteristic misses for Kevin Cooey. Just a slight over curl on his first one, a slight under curl on his second one. Team Kleiter now with the lead for the first time in the game. It is the Cooey team with last rock as we begin play here in the sixth. Center guard was thrown up to start the end. Trevor Johnson now will look to come around it. Got a nice line coming in. They'd like it to stop. It's going to slide just to the back of the button. Carrick Martin being asked to come down and sit on top of that stone. Might be okay with a little separation here just because it's so deep. Boy, he's got to get by the red guard. This is in the no-tick zone. You can't move it off the center line. He will touch it. It stays on the center line, so that's legal. Shooter comes to rest in the back of the 4 and spins back at the end just to be completely open. For Matthew Hall, yes, you can see that rock in the back, but if you make a play on it, you just give Kevin Cooey something he can work with. It's going to come around again on the out-turn side. Had to look to see who was throwing before I could declare that was an out-turn. Trevor Johnson right-handed, Joshua Mattern left-handed. Again, nice line coming by. They need it to stop. This one will come to rest. Full top 4 in behind cover. Kleiter team sitting 2. Kevin Cooey eyeing the run back. Just deciding for himself which side they need to hit it on. If you think you can get all 3 of them, you want to hit it just a little bit on, as we look at Kevin, you need to hit it a little bit on the right side. If you think you can only get 2 of them, you could hit it on the left, jam the stone at the top of the 4-foot and the stone at the back of the button, and roll your shooter over in front of your own rock. Jacques Gauthier makes the hit. Gets the jam. Does spill them out from behind cover. And now the yellow guard on the center line belongs to the Cooey team. Might not like to have a center guard at all, but as long as it's your own color, with as well as these teams play the runbacks, that's a weapon. Looking to make the play on the Yellowstone at the back of the 4-foot now. Second shot. It's gone. Team Kleiter sitting 3. 2 at the back, 8-foot shot rock. The one biting the top of the 4-foot is just a piece behind cover. Kevin Cooey asking him to just tap that back. There's already a bit of a wall starting to form with the red stones at the back of the 8-foot. And I think part of the consideration here is this is the easiest way to keep your own stone in the front of the ring somewhere. You can get a lot out of this shot. Tap the shot stone behind the tee line, get a wall of reds. Keep your shot stone or shooter in front of the 3 at the back. I'm not sure you'll be shot stone. You might be. Nice line. Maybe not quite the weight they had in mind. Does tap it to the back of the button. And his shooter stays in a really good spot. Does look like Kleiter sitting 3, I think, right now, but all of them behind the tee line. And tough for him to do much with that Yellowstone. You can see him looking at playing the tap and roll behind, but you know you're going to put that into the 2 reds at the back if you do that. Team Kleiter sitting 3, but the rock they have to worry about is that Yellowstone that was delivered sitting at the top of the 8-foot. It's only 4th shot right now, but it's in such a great position for Team Cooey, and it's really tough for Team Kleiter to do anything about it. The only way really to get rid of it altogether would be to straight pick it. Well, then all of your rocks are behind the tee line and Kui can draw. You get to the inside of it and tap it back. You're putting it on the reds at the back of the 8 foot. It'll still be second shot. Albeit shot would be buried, and presumably you'd get your shooter under cover as well. Looking at the straight draw, and it's Josh Mattern throwing, so it would be his out turn, the left-hander's out turn. So come between the two yellows, sit at the top 4 foot. That's the shot I like. If you make it well, you could kind of cut off the path for the yellow onto shot stone. Don't think that's the one they're going to end up playing, though. It looks like he's still eyeing them move that yellow stone. So Josh Mattern being asked to come down, try to get to the inside of that yellow stone, tap it back. He's going to put it onto the reds at the back of the 8 foot, but hopefully he can get a shooter under cover here. Just like that. Actually spun it to a good spot, and then it kind of ends up in behind their own shot stone. Team Kleiter sitting 1. Second shot is the yellow stone that was just tapped up, but it's now behind shot rock. Mentioned earlier how good these teams are at the run back, and Kui probably happy that it's now his Yellowstone out front. He's going to try to use it now. Yellow onto red. Now, if you make contact with the back of the 4 foot from this angle, that yellow is in a spot where it probably stays. It just gets squeezed between the two reds. Yellow onto red, but a little thin on the first red. Catches that red at the back of the 12 foot as well. Shot stone just fully open now. As much as you never love to guard a stone in the back of the button, this is a case where a nose hit would make both reds go away and the yellow would stay, so you kind of have to here. You might want to make sure you get this guard a little tighter than the yellow that was just left up there too. Kevin Kui could run it in and make the double on the reds and again leave two yellows in. Get this just a little tighter than the yellow guard. It probably takes that away. Waiting for it to curl, but now I think also hoping for it to stop, because if this slides into the rings, it could leave a triple on the reds. Definitely deeper than they would have liked it. If you get the hit and roll behind the corner, you're awful close to killing all three reds, and again, that middle yellow shouldn't go anywhere. Be looking to hit the red that was just delivered slightly across the face of the one at the back of the button. The three reds go. Yellow doesn't go anywhere, and your shooter might roll in behind the corner. On the brush early. He's got to stay on the high side a little bit. This is close. Makes the hit, catches the one at the back of the button. They threw a little bit quieter weight. Doesn't kill all 3 reds. Does get them all moving. So Rock definitely the stone belonging to Cooey at the back of the 4-foot. Second shot at about the 8 o'clock position in the 12-foot. And again, hard to tell. Oh, it's nice when they tell us who it is. Matthew saying it is the yellow at the top of the 12-foot that is third shot. You can make a play at Shot Rock. I guess the double's there if you really wanted to play it too, but you lose your shooter. You could hit and stay right there. You could hit and roll behind the Yellowstone at the top of the 12-foot. The hesitation, I think, on rolling behind the one at the top 12-foot, it's a shorter run for Kevin Cooey, and if he sticks it behind cover, he'd be Shot Rock, but it looks like the easier shot of the 2 choices for the hit. It's hard to get behind the longer guard. You got to flirt with it coming by. Playing the quiet intern through the port. He's going to make a play on Shot Rock before, for sure. I think they've decided to try to roll behind the yellow on the top of the 12. Boy, this is really curling. You might want to switch to plan B. I don't think they're getting the roll behind the yellow in the 12-foot. It actually ends up hitting it right on the nose. Team Kleiter sitting 2. Kind of the same dilemma now for Kevin Cooey. Where do you roll? If you roll right behind the yellow, you leave him a chance. You might force him to come around the more center guard and maybe go for the steal. I think that's what you have to play, though. Hit and roll towards the broom. Try to get underneath that yellow and maybe half a rock past it. Looks like that's the call. Trying to roll not dead in behind the yellow, a little bit past it so that any attempt at the double might jam on that red at the back of the 12-foot. That might give Matthew Hall a chance to come around the guard, but it is a yellow guard. Could always be run back. Kevin Cooey with his first here in the 6th inning, trailing by 1, looking for the hit and roll. And on the brush right away, he had an overcurl last end on the intern. Gonna have to go just to get this by the guard. They're by. Now they're gonna have to roll the other way. The same problem as Matthew Hall, just got curling a little early. Stays right there. And now when we're on to just 1 stone left each, if Matt Hall can get the roll in behind the yellow, it doesn't really matter if Kevin Cooey makes the run back. It still would only be for 1. Matthew Hall on the intern. Looking for a little more roll this time than what he got on his first. Looks like he might have just a little bit more weight. The line's holding. Makes the hit. Gets the roll. Hangs on to a piece of the forefoot. Team Kleiter sitting 2, and Kevin Cooey will now have to decide how to draw and get enough of the forefoot. He's got the port between the 2 yellows. He'd have to throw the intern coming between them. The issue then is, as you're coming into the house, you're kind of going away from the button, and you still need to be full forefoot to get shot rock. If you're going to try to come wide around the guard on the right hand of the sheet, as we look at it from the hack end, you have to go really wide to get around that guard. Shouldn't be any problem with them curling at the end. Just these never look great as they're coming down because they hang out for the longest time. You have to trust them. Of course, we're about 12 draws in. All of these teams have played at least 5 games. Well, they've all played 5 games now with the round robin, so they all know what this is going to do. They should be very comfortable with waiting for it. Might have been tough for them in the first couple of games. By now, they're used to it. So Kevin Cooey with his final stone, trailing by 1, facing 2. Needs full forefoot with the draw. Looks like it's a long ways out there, but now is where it should start to curl. Doesn't really need to be close to the guard to get to the forefoot. I don't want to go a little bit for weight, though. Gonna have to put this right on the tee line. Well, I'm surprised nobody was there to meet that, try to brush it back just a little bit. It does stop just in time. Kevin Cooey picks up his single point. We're all tied up after 6 ends of play. It'll be Team Kleiter with last rock in the 7th.
Stronger agronomics, better returns, greater peace of mind. From pre-seed to post-harvest, you can count on the Victory Canola program to keep you and your farm ahead of the curve. Grow with us at victorycanola.com.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Quarterfinal action across 8 sheets here. The Saville Shootout this morning. Monday morning championship Monday. 4 men's quarterfinals, 4 women's quarterfinals. Semifinals will start in about an hour and a half's time. Still looking to determine who's going to be in those matchups. Shawn, Joyce with you here live. Team Kleiter with the hammer as we begin play here in the 7th end of a 4-all tie. Garrick Martin through the center guard to start. The come-around attempt a little bit short of the rings, so there's 2 guards up there already. Kevin Cooey does not want to see a blank end here. He was considering actually throwing another guard. But with 2 up there already, we'll ask Tarek Martin to come around. Has to be buried here. Sweeping for all the curl they can get. It's going to end up at the back of the forefoot, but it is fully buried. Had to be buried because he, as I said, he doesn't want to see a blank end here. So if you want to force the Kleiter team to play a few draws here, get some rocks in play, makes the blank a little tougher. I think it would probably be fair to say, and there's certainly some teams out there, I think the Cooey team might be one of them, they'd rather give up 2 here than a blank end. Then they would have the hammer coming home. You attempt to follow that stone down. Stops it just in front of the tee line, but it is partially out in the open. Might be room for Jacques Gauthier to get to the inside corner. I don't think by the indication they're looking to move it. Just sit on the inside corner of it. Jacques Gauthier didn't look happy with that shot. It stayed on the outside of it a little bit, taps it back. So the angle's in the house right now, favoring the Kleiter team, and they can walk up and deal with the stones in front of the rings, looking for the double peel. Might be able to bring that red stone back into the rings, move things around in there as well. A lot of good things can happen here for the Kleiter team. Makes the hit on the yellow guard, just drives it by. So just gets rid of the 1 guard, rolls the shooter out of play. Tough spot now for Kevin Cooey. He'd like to have a second guard. The angles in the house aren't great. Probably too early in the end to do anything about those angles in the house. Has to throw the second guard for now. Again, he doesn't want to see the blank. Gets the guard up, and well, Matthew Hall considers his next option. Tyler Tardy and Kevin Cooey talking about how do we proceed in this end, given the angles we're looking at. A lot of separation this time between the yellow and the red. I think the call here is just a straight peel. And it was. Tyler Tardy now will just take a look at these rocks in the house before he makes his way down. Looks like they want to make their play into the rings right now. You know, if you throw one too many guards, eventually Matthew Hall's just going to put the broom down, hit the nose on the yellow at the top of the forefoot. It clips the red, kills the back yellow. He also could just elect to play the hit and roll, quiet weight, hit the yellow, drive it by the red at the back, and roll in behind. The guards sit two that way and still be corner frozen. So really all the angles right now favoring Team Kleiter. The Cooey team looking at what can we do to change those angles a little bit. Tyler's first thought, come down, get to the inside of the yellow, tap it back, try to roll your shooter in behind cover. Not sure you can break up the red yellow at the back like that. So the other shot they're looking at is tap the yellow onto the red, roll a shooter towards the corner. I have to think if they're playing that, they're going to want to play it with enough weight to just move that back yellow back a little bit. Just that's what they're indicating right now. So you'd probably have to have, well, through weight, because you're looking to move a third stone, almost hack. Somewhere between the back line and the hack, probably. I think that's what they settled on. They're going to hit the outside half of the yellow stone, try to roll the shooter to the edge of the 8-foot, yellow onto red onto yellow, just tap the back yellow back, and hopefully leave the yellow frozen to the red in the button. Needs to stay on the outside half of this. They might have to audible to plan B here. This was the other option they had considered. I thought I heard good hack for a weight call. That was not hack weight. Now, I will say I thought I heard good hack, but that's not to say necessarily that I heard it from this sheet. Still 8 games going out there. Sometimes hard to tell who you're hearing. Matthew Hall looking at what can they do with that red guard. Going to try to run it back towards the yellow on the corner of the 4-foot because he might be able to stick it there and roll the shooter off the center line. If he's a little thick on the first one, he might be able to pick the one out of the top of the 4-foot as well. He's got a few options here. Has to stay on the high side, though. Drives it back, does get the stone at the back of the 4-foot, and hangs the raised stone on edge of the 12. Problem remains kind of the same for Kevin Cooey. The angles in that 4-foot area not good for him. Nose hit on the yellow stone would make both yellows go away and the red might stay. So Kevin's going to make a play to change those angles. I have to think the play here is to come just ever so slightly across the face, try to tap the yellow at the top of the 4-foot onto the red at the back of the 4. Break up that angle freeze at the back. You'd love to stay frozen at the back of the 4-foot after you tap this up. Line's close. Oh, they might have lost it at the end. Did it over curl? No, it gets the good spill. Breaks the freeze at the back. It's Cooey sitting shot. Third and fourth belonging to Cooey as well. Now Matthew Hall with a bit of a dilemma. How do you move that Cooey shot stone in? Looking at playing a double on the two yellows that are available. Looking at off the yellow to kill it and come into the red. I'd be tempted to play the nose hit on the Yellowstone. That's what he's looking at now. Nose hit the Yellowstone, kill the back red one. Boy, that's really tough. Looking at thin off the yellow, come into the shot stone. It's going to clip the red behind it. You might be able to get it out of play. But you'd leave a double in the middle. That's the shot I keep looking at. Yellow onto the red. You don't need to keep the red back there anywhere. Just kill it. Eyeing up, I think that was Trevor Johnson eyeing up. Can you pick that yellow thin enough to miss the red, double the other yellow at the back of the 8-foot? The reason he's thinking about trying to double two yellows now is if you've got if you can make a double here and you're only one double away from perhaps scoring two or three. And I guess the more rocks you remove here, you might be able to get back to the potential for a blank situation too. Looks like that's the one they've settled on. They're going to try to pick that yellow clean over the top of the red, catch the back yellow. You'd lose the shooter. Got to be very thin on the first yellow, but you got to touch it. Just wiggles it and wiggles the red, so still leaves the yellow in front of the red stone. Still leaves a dilemma for Kevin Cooey. You can't really guard that shot. You let him play the paper thin double. But if he makes it, it's for two, or at least a sit two. We're still on just Skip's first stones here. Could hit the open red one. Then no matter what he does in the middle, you probably only have to kill one stone. Get the force that way. Doesn't look like you should have to worry about the blank now. Shock Gauthier was looking at a stone on the top of the 12-foot. Don't like that. It would leave two chances for the double, either the straight back or the thin in off. I think that's what Kevin said as well. Could almost kill both reds now, and I don't know if that might be what they're looking at. You hit the yellow about 7/8, roll towards the one, even if you don't kill it, just roll towards the one on the corner. You'd kill the stone at the back 8-foot. If you got it by the stone at the back 12-foot, you could be sitting 4 here. Pardon me, back 8-foot. It's not really a steal situation, but you should have the force at that point. You might also be talking about freezing the yellow. That's probably the best result if you could deadline it up to the red, but it's the toughest shot. They certainly have considered all the options. I think Kevin Cooey's going to go back to, it was one of his earlier thoughts, was just hit this red stone that's out in the open. Their first thought when they discussed it was to hit and stay right there. I think Kevin now may be looking at, can they roll in kind of behind their own Yellowstone and make it even a little tougher for Matt to be able to get that out. Just the skip stones left to come here in the 7th end of a tie game. Kevin Cooey with his first. Looking to hit the stone on the edge of the 12-foot. Does look like they called it to stay right there. Matthew Hall looking at the paper-thin double. Even if you make it, you probably leave a double back. So I'm wondering if he's looking at throwing this with very quiet weight, and rather than try to kill the 2 yellows, maybe leave another one back there that's something to jam on. It's tough no matter which way you're playing it. If you're trying to play for as thin as you have to hit that first one to make contact second. Doesn't do you any good to hit the first one thick enough to come over the top of the second and push it straight back. You've got to get into at least a little bit of the side. You got to get it off that red stone behind it. These are so tough. He's only looking for about maybe an 1/8 of the stone here. I think if you hit a quarter, you're still coming to the top half of that yellow, and it's going to put it onto the red behind it. Close, needs to come up just a little bit. He only needs to feather the first one. Makes it. Boy, what an outstanding shot. Matthew Hall making the double, leaves himself sitting 2. Kevin probably has a double back. He has to be a little bit careful. There is the potential he could stick it on his own at the back of the 8-foot. You could play it over the top, then there's no chance of a jam. You'll lose the shooter, still sitting 2. He'd probably get the force. Can't imagine he'd take on the double for the blank. You'd have to double and roll out. Now here's an interesting thing, and we'll let everybody at home debate this as well. If you played the double over the top and rolled out, sitting 2, there are some teams, and I don't know if Team Kleiter might be one of them, that would give up 1 here to keep last rock coming home. That might as well be part of the conversation for Kevin Cooey. If you make the double, the nose hit double, get across the back of the second yellow at the back, or I guess it's 4th. If you get across the top of that one, you'd be sitting 3. And then it's a little riskier for Matt Hall to decide I want to give up 1. So it looks like that's the way he's going to play it. Maybe just a hair high side, catch the second one thick enough to go over the top of the yellow. They're on the brush early. Can't curl past the nose. Kevin doesn't look happy. Yeah, that a little too thin jammed just spills over to a freeze, and Team Kleiter already sitting shot rock. Matthew Hall will have the chance to simply draw. Needs a little better than full 8 foot. He can pick up 2 here. Matthew Hall throwing the skip stones for the Kleiter team today. Needs a little better than full 8 foot with his final stone to pick up the deuce. He's got 1 already. Trevor Johnson on the brush, picking it up a little harder just outside the hog line. Got a nice line, comes into the top of the 4 foot. Put another deuce on the board for Team Kleiter. They'll have a 6-4 lead now after 7 ends of play. Kevin Cooey with last rock in the 8th. Men's quarterfinal action here from the Saville Shootout in Edmonton.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's Ice Band has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline, join the revolution.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Shawn Joyce with you here live. Men's quarterfinal action from the Saville Shootout. Kevin Cooey trailing Rylan Kleiter by a score of 6-4 as we begin play here in the 8th end. Cooey does have last rock. We'll need a deuce to get into the extra end. He'll try set up for a possible 3 if he can. Kleiter started the end off with the center guard. Team Cooey throws the corner. Trevor Johnson being asked to come around. And then we get an opportunity to see real quick, does Kevin Cooey throw the second corner? How hard does he want to go after 3 here? Well, that stone comes to rest. It is buried, but back 4 foot. Evan took a moment to ponder the options. He's going to ask Garrett Martin to follow that stone down, sit frozen at the back 4. Both brushers on it. That must mean they need to go for weight. He's got good line yet. Should start to move now as it's coming into the rings. Gets the top corner of the button. It is shot rock. A piece behind cover anyway. Trevor Johnson looking to follow it down, sit on the inside corner if he could. Weight looks nice. He'd like to get to the inside corner. I don't know if it's going to have enough time to curl that far. Nudges it back, still leaves it cornered on that stone at the back. Just needed to curl a little bit farther. It's Cooey shot rock at the back of the 4 foot right now. Second shot, the one at the top of the 4 foot that was just delivered. Jack Gauthier going to try to get to the inside corner of that. Apologies, as we do seem to be having a little bit of camera trouble. You might have noticed it shaking an end ago. There we go. Still Cooey sitting shot at the back of the button. I would tend to think that was a little light. You would imagine the call there was they were probably trying to corner freeze the Yellowstone at the top of the 4-foot. Team Kleiter right now, pretty good shape. Looking at what Kevin Cooey might have available to run back in the middle, but they know he's probably going to have to do something to clean up the middle right now. It came right down to the end of the game right now. Kevin Cooey might have the long angle run in, the yellow onto the yellow at the top of the 8-foot, catch the red at the top of the 4, onto the yellow at the back of the 4, onto the red at the back of the 4. And he might be able, I mean, it might be a shot for 3. You wouldn't worry about that yet. Kevin Cooey's going to try to do something in the middle. Matthew Hall to figure out what they've got and what they can do about it. Hard to tell what he can do off that yellow stone. It didn't get underneath the red, so I don't know that he could run it towards the red at the top of the 12-foot. He might have the red center guard over the top of the red at the 12-foot into the yellow at the top of the 8-foot. That might be there. But I think the indication, it looks like they're trying to guard the yellow stone that was just thrown. That's what they get. Tyler's looking at the angle run, not necessarily at the ones in the rings, using it to make a triple peel. It would open up a draw path on that side as well. Kevin's still looking on the other side. I think they are going to play the angle on that yellow, not looking to drive it onto the one in the rings right now, looking to drive the yellow guard onto the red that's got a piece of the center line. You might be able to kill 3 guards that way, and you open up the draw path on the in-turn side, or Kevin's in-turn. It would be the out-turn for Tyler. You do have shot rock at the back of the button right now, so opening up a draw path would give you a chance to get that second point. Got to stay on the outside of this yellow, though. He's going to over-curl. And now I don't think there's any chance he could see enough of it to drive it onto the yellow in the rings. I'm a little surprised they threw it that quiet. Yes, I know they wanted to keep some rocks in play, but you're trying to move 3 of them as well. Matthew looking to get a guard underneath that yellow. That's his first thought anyway. And the thinking there has to be that if they play that same type of shot to try the triple peel, they're still going to have the draw path plugged. And I think that's what they've settled on, just throwing a tighter guard around that yellow. take away the draw path. There's probably a draw path there now to get to the edge of the button. Doesn't look like it, but with the big late movement here at the Saville Center, you could probably get there. Skinny the guard, you'll come out on the other side of it. Had to go a little bit for line just to make sure they got by that guard now. Where's it going to stop? Oh, that's a really good spot. That takes away the draw path for sure. Kevin Cooley sits one at the back of the box. The issue is right now he doesn't really have a way to get a second one in, and I don't think he wants to be smashing either because he'd like to still keep that stone at the back protected a little bit. Can certainly play some rocks in. Judging from the way they threw the last one, it looks like they want to keep rocks in play, so they didn't want to throw a lot of weight. Need to open something up here, though. That, and I think that's Tyler, I think, was looking at red across the. That was one I wondered about earlier. Can they make it? Can they get the red across the red splitting center across the face of the one on the 12-foot, back onto the yellow at the top of the 8-foot, and you'd have to cross it a bit, and then back onto second shot. I don't think the yellow would spin in far enough to be second unless you caught the yellow red at the back. Might be there. Shooter rolls off. Hard to know what you'd leave. You could leave a double back. You might leave a port to a double. Jacques Gauthier looking at the run back on the long yellow guard to double the two reds at the top. Not sure what that gets you. I wish I had a telestrator for you. That's all I'm seeing, and it's a question of if it's there. The red that splits the center slightly across the face of the one at the top of the 12-foot so that you can slash it back onto the yellow. And again, it has to go slightly across the face. Put the yellow onto the red, and you're going to need to clip the one at the back of the 4-foot onto the red to sit 2. Not that it's critical that you sit 2 right now. I don't see any other way to open things up. Like they're talking about hitting the red on the other side, I think, which would double the yellow red at the top, maybe clip the one at the top 12-foot. But then I think it's a nose hit on the yellow to kill both yellows. I guess if you're playing that, you're probably not playing with big weight if they're playing that. They probably want to leave one of those reds on the corner so they can come off, but that could work. Hard to tell what they're playing now. They could play it with a little bit of weight and play the shot I was looking at, or they could be playing it quiet and try to cross the face, chip the 2 yellows at the top, and try to roll both of them to the corners, one on either side. Looks like they're playing the shot I called, but they're going to be a little thin on the first one. Works out. Not exactly the way you drew it up, but unfortunately, we leave that redstone at the top of the 8-foot in a spot that Matthew Hall might be able to play a run with it. It's a short run. Do you try to play it as a run double, or do you just try to stick the first one? The problem is if you try to play it as the run double, you got to throw a little bit more weight, and then if you roll it over the top, miss the second stone, gives Kevin Cooey the chance to draw and try to get his 2. If you stick it in there, he's still got to deal with the stone that you run back. Could play the out-turn draw himself right now and leave this for his last shot. If you play the out-turn draw, even if you're short, how does Kevin Cooey get in? Looks like he's opting for the tap back onto the stone that's in front of the tee line. He could play it the other way too. He could hit it just a hair off the nose, almost straight back, catch the one at the back corner of the button, pump it through the hole. The raised stone would be shot rock, and his shooter should be covering it. To play it this way, he's going to be across the face a little bit more, and drive it onto the stone in front of the tee line, try to spin it back in front of the other one. His shooter's going to have to roll over a little bit to play this. Trying to hold the line. Well, they might have got caught in between. Looks like he tapped the yellow just far enough. It is Cooey sitting shot, or at least that's what they've indicated. Kevin's probably got the out-turn draw. He probably also has the nose hit on the stone that Matthew just delivered and could triple the reds. You just thin tick the second shot stone, catch the top of the third, and spin over the top of the yellow. That would leave him sitting shot second and fourth. The best result, it's the riskiest shot. Kevin also eyeing up the angle run in. On the yellow guard, you could run it into the two yellows, or pardon me, the two reds at the back of the 4-foot, sit 3. Don't know if that's a shot you'd play on your first one. Part of the argument for playing the red straight back, and I don't know whether that's what they're discussing or not, is that if you don't play the red straight back, you leave it for Matt to play it again. Going to play it. And this should not be a big shock to anybody. He's going to play with the out turn. So looking from the hack in, just the way they're lined up. Nose hit probably dead stuffs it, so he needs to be just ever so slightly on the high side of the nose. Only needs to just touch the edge of the stone that's full 4-foot. Catch the front end of the other one. The thicker that he can catch the second one, the better, because then he can spin it over the top of that yellow, the back of the 8-foot. Could be sitting 2 with third shot sitting at the top, or pardon me, fourth at the top of the 12-foot after this. Wants to hit it just a sliver high. They might have lost the line. Nope. He's got it exactly where he needed it, enough to cross his own yellow. So Kevin Cooey sitting 2, has the stone at the top of the 12-foot he can use. That was a great shot. Tough for Matt Hall to attempt any doubles either, because there's a lot of red rocks he can jam on. Oh, I think Trevor Johnson was looking at a port through to shot stone. There's a port there, but I don't think you can fit a rock through it. Matthew Hall's first thought was to play the outturn freeze to the back Yellowstone, and I think that's what he's going to settle on. That's definitely there. The problem here would be that by the time you make that port, there's a chance you're over curling the freeze at the back. And if you do that, Kevin Cooey might have a shot to get it through for 3. He's certainly got that stone at the top of the 12-foot he could raise back if he had to. Might be able to come down with enough weight to poke it through from the outturn as well. Final stone for Matthew Hall here in the 8th. He's leading by 2, but Kevin Cooey has last rock sitting 2 right now. Getting tight to that guard. Well, he's by the guard now, but can he hold the line to stay in front of the yellow? Taps it back a little bit, but leaves it for 3rd. Can Kevin Cooey make the double on the back 2 on the 2 reds? He might be looking at the run double. Can almost get there directly, I think. Probably what they're trying to decide right now. Can we get there directly, or are we playing the run? He was already eyeing the run back. Yellow onto, and to make sure he clears the yellow at the back, he probably has to hit there. That's the indication. He'd be running it back onto what is actually 4th shot first, and then come across and kick the one that Matthew Hall just threw out the side. This would be for the win. And I think probably has to be for the win one way or the other, because I don't see any way that he only gets 2 off this. He's either getting 3 or he's only getting 1. So Kevin Cooey with his final stone here in the 8th end, quarterfinal action. Looking for the run double for the win. Needs to come up just a little bit. Might get it the other way. Well, that's the way to get 2. He actually stuffed it onto the second shot stone at the back. He will pick up his 2 points, and we're headed to an extra end here in this quarterfinal. Kevin Cooey, Rylan Kleiter. It'll be Team Kleiter with last rock in the extra.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardlines Ice Band has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline, Join the revolution.
This is it. It all comes down to this rock. The hours in the gym, the weeks away from my family. This is what I've been training for. And all those voices trying to tear me down, I'm here to silence them. We've given everything we have for a chance to get everything we want.
We're headed to an extra end in men's quarterfinal action. Rylan Kleiter, Kevin Cooey tied at 6 after 8 ends of play. It'll be Kleiter with last rock. This is the only men's quarterfinal yet to be determined. The winner of this game will move on to face Mike McEwen in one semifinal. The other one's already set as well. That'll have Jordan McDonald facing Reed Carruthers. Start things off in this extra end with the center guard. The come around attempt you see there comes to the back 8-foot. Kevin Cooey going to ask for the second center guard now. Shawn, Joyce with you here. We're live. Want to welcome all those who have joined us from some of these other games. We've had a barn burner here. Looking for this one to slow down, not just a matter of getting a second guard. They want some separation. Can't peel them yet, but those two might be close enough together after the 5th stone that the double peel might be a little easier than they'd like to have left it. They'll look to come around now. Want to get something in front of the tee line this time. That first draw attempt came deep. And that was an audible there by Joshua Matter. And as soon as you realize it was going to be deep, you sweep it as far back as you can. You'd hate to leave it just behind the button. They make the freeze, and now you can't get shot rock. I don't know if there's enough room as it is. Trevor Johnson will be happy with those two draws. Jacques Gauthier needs to make a good one here, needs to lock this freeze on because those two guards out front are close enough together that the double peel's very makeable. There's a good look from the overhead. Yes, it's far enough back that if they freeze to it, you'll have room in front of it. The Kleiter team playing shorthanded, so Trevor Johnson throwing his third of the end, looking for the double peel. Gets one, but will drive it by the second stone. Tough to throw the second guard and get a lot of separation just because of where the first one is. So they're going to come in again. If Jacques Gauthier can come right down in on top of the one he threw with his last one and leave it lined up to the reds behind it, it'd be very hard to remove that shot stone. This has got tighter line. And a little less weight as well. Just going to chip off the guard. Leaves another guard up there, but it's off the center line. I think the only hesitation there for Matthews, do we need to play the double peel or just make sure this one goes away? I think this will be a play it safe. Make sure we're thick enough to lose the shooter. You want to go across the top of the second yellow. If you catch it and get both of them, that's great. You just don't want to be so thin on the first one that you leave your shooter between the two of them. And boy, he's close to doing that. Oh, made it good. Had enough action on the shooter with the weight. Got across the top of the second one. Peels them both and loses the shooter. Well, no choice now for the QE team. They'll have to protect that shot rock, and you actually may see them content to just guard that right through. It is a good enough stone to steal with. Unfortunately, there's room for, unfortunately for the QE team, there is room for Matthew Hall to come down and snap it. So you may see Kevin have to play something other than a straight guard with his last one. He might wait right to his last one. Every time I script out an end, I jinx somebody, and the shot isn't made exactly the way we expect. But right now, you've got to think there's going to be a couple more center guard attempts, a couple more peels. I do think Kevin Cooey might have to do something other than a straight guard on his last one now. Maybe he just comes in really tight. Straight peel again is the call. Kevin thinking about it now. You could freeze the yellow. Leave the yellow lined up to dead jam on the red. I thought he might leave this for his last shot. He might be concerned if he throws one more guard. Matthew Hall, knowing that, might just play around it. And he might. Problem with playing this now is Matthew Hall smashes everything, and no matter what he leaves jammed, if you guard it, you're probably behind the tee line. So looks like the call is the guard. Wants to split center. He needs to leave that out turn side available onto the yellow if he needs it for the next one. And that's the side that he needs to protect anyway. Matt can't really get rid of the yellow one from the out turn. Decision time for Matthew Hall now. You know that if you just peel the guard, Kevin's going to freeze. You might not be able to get shot rock. So what else can you play here? You can make the freeze yourself right now. You'd want to play it from the intern side. They're looking over top to see if they could get enough of the pinhole. I mean, the Yellowstone's not quite covering the center hole where the measuring stick goes in, but he's got a little bit of the center line. So if you were right on the face without moving it, I think the yellow would still be shot. If you're a sliver to the inside, you're probably good. If you move it an inch, you're good. I'm almost certain they're playing the draw. I think they're just discussing, do we need to move it? Can we afford to be on an angle? If you're on an angle, what they'd be worried about Kevin Cooey making the straight back run. That's what you see him indicating now. Actually, he's going to look at playing it. Or maybe with this turn, I've got to think this is the straight peel. So he's decided to play the straight peel. Maybe he thinks Kevin Cooey will draw again or play another guard. I don't think he will. So I think what they're talking about, well, you see a couple of options. Garrick Martin talking about throwing a tighter guard. Maybe make the draw more difficult, make him think about the hit. They could freeze tap. I think Kevin is talking about if we're going to freeze, we need to remove the back red stone just so that Matt can't just simply try to smash everything knowing that the one red's not going to go anywhere. It would leave if you move the back one. You could do that. Tap, tap. Yellow onto red. The back red would go. The yellow and the red aren't going to move very far. Your shooter's going to stay right there. Might mean that when he tries to blast the two reds out, or pardon me, the two yellows out, he could lose everything, including his shooter. We might see a 10th end. Just the one game left out there. You can't hear the ice machine in the background as well. I'm trying to hear them, but even with the camera mics, when it's just a little too quiet. If you play the straight freeze on the nose, Matthew Hall will smash from the intern side. And with a little bit of drag, the yellow going onto the red at the back might continue to spin away. And that red in the middle isn't going to go anywhere. If you freeze a little on the high side, he hits it on the nose. The yellow at the back will dead stuff. I think the yellow would be shot if that happens. So I think you're okay with the dead freeze just a little high side. You could play the tight guard, say top 8 foot. Just bite the top 8 foot and make him play the double, because it would make the double as tough as possible without leaving really a good path for the draw. If you play the long guard, Matt will play the intern draw to the face of that yellow. So if you're going to guard it, you'd have to play tight. I don't think they really considered that. They looked at it, but I don't think it was an option they ever really considered that hard. This is interesting with where Jacques tapped the ice. They're actually looking to freeze just a little bit on the inside of the yellow, and that's interesting because then for Matt to smash from the intern side, he's got to jam the first one. To jam from the outturn side, he would drag into the red at the back. He might not be able to kill either yellow or both yellows. He'd be able to kill one. Brusher's staying close. They have to wait on the line here. It takes so long for these to start to curl. Now it's really moving. I think they're just getting the guard here. Looks like that might have been what they were playing the whole way, is just the guard, but they certainly would have liked to have it tighter than that. That does not make this shot very difficult at all. Still has to be made, but well, I'm surprised Matt's looking at playing it with this kind of weight. He's looking at killing the yellow. Could probably see a quarter of it anyway. Really doesn't need to be tight by the guard either. All the movement's late. Made an outstanding thin double last end. Just needs to pick this yellow stone out of the button area. They'll pick up the win and move on to the semifinal. A little bit of a backwards motion when he released. Going to start to curl now, but that backwards motion will hold it straight for a long time. Doing everything they can to get some curl. He's going to get a touch on that stone. Will it be enough? Yes. Matthew Hall, an outstanding final stone, taps it back. He'll pick up 2. More importantly, he picks up the win here in the extra end over Kevin Cooey. And that'll move Team Kleiter into the semifinal, where they'll face Mike McEwen. That game's scheduled to start in about 25 minutes, and we might be a little bit late now. Stay with us for all of the games here. 2 men's semifinals, 2 women's semifinals, both on the air in 25 minutes.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.